Readings of Almighty God's words on the pursuit of the truth. How to pursue the truth. 18. We have used two examples to fellowship on the aspect of what God ordains. Has it been basically explained clearly? Then, can you distinguish between positive and negative things? Can you apply this aspect of the truth to assess the various people, events, and things you encounter? If we hadn't fellowshipped on these two examples, would you have been able to apply this aspect of the truth concerning the positive things we defined today to measure them?
I might be able to discern simpler ones, but I couldn't discern the two relatively complex examples that God spoke of.
It's a good thing we fellowshipped on this. Otherwise, you might have missed out on eating such delicious food as the apple pear, right? Some people who are more inclined to abide by regulations might look at an apple pear and want to eat it, but dare not, thinking that eating it would violate the principles ordained by God and go against God's words. So they restrain themselves and do not eat it. And as a result, they miss out on so many opportunities to eat this delicious food. However, for some obviously negative things, because people lack discernment, they greatly praise and deeply approve of and accept them in their hearts. Regarding non-organic food, they even think, non-organic food greatly satisfies mankind's demand for food, and at the same time, it can help reduce deaths from hunger. This is truly a great contribution of science to mankind in the history of human development. This is truly done by God. It is God who has promoted this matter. Such a simple statement exposes a fact. What fact? That you do not understand the truth. This is secondary. There is an even more serious problem here, which is that you have spoken words that are outrageously rebellious and blasphemous to God, and this makes God feel loathing and disgust. If such a problem becomes so severe that you go against God's intentions and deliberately resist and blaspheme God, then you might lose your hope of salvation, and it will affect your destination. Therefore, understanding the truth is very important. If we hadn't used examples in our fellowship, some of you might have thought, non-organic food is the result of scientific research, and the development of science contributes to humanity, so such a contribution is most likely ordained by God. It's most likely orchestrated by God. Through fellowshipping in this way, is it clear now? Is this statement correct? Should one understand things this way? If a person says this, they are in for trouble. This is outrageously rebellious. Before you have a clear understanding of what things really are and of their essence, do not rashly define them, and do not easily accept or like things that have been scientifically processed, especially for things that are revered and popular in evil trends and liked by most people. You must be strictly on guard. Discern them according to God's words and the truth, and absolutely do not accept them. Some people say, "Our caliber is poor." When we see various kinds of information spreading online, we think it's a social trend and can't be wrong. After looking at it, it has an effect on our hearts. If we lived in a vacuum, we wouldn't be misled. Is this statement correct? You live in the real world, in the current society, and you will inevitably hear many strange voices and strange sayings and theories. These arguments will inevitably enter your heart, where they will have an effect, changing your thoughts. People think that as long as they live in this society, as long as they live among people, they will be involuntarily influenced, unless they live deep in the mountains and forests, or shut themselves up in a little room, neither listening, looking, nor thinking about these things, in which case their hearts will be clean. Is this view correct? Obviously not. Then how can this problem be resolved? You must pursue the truth and understand the truth. If you have a clear understanding of all aspects of the truth, when you encounter these things, you will know what their underlying essence is. You will be able to quickly discern and define them as either positive or negative things, and on the basis of having conscience and reason, you will quickly accept the positive things and resist or reject, criticize, and condemn the negative things. In this way, you will be protected, and you will not feel helpless, nor will you need to be so worried or fearful. Why? Because with God's words as your basis, you will have the basic ability to discern positive and negative things. Your views and opinions on various positive and negative things will be based on God's words, and you will be able to determine whether they are positive or negative things. Therefore, the matter of what you should do will be a very easy one. Is that not the case? Do you understand what we just fellowshipped? If we hadn't fellowshipped on it in this way, would you be able to understand it?
No.
Then, if you experience for a few more years, would you be able to discern positive and negative things?
Without the truth, we cannot discern these things. Sometimes we even admire and advocate negative things. So, it's not like we become able to discern just from having more years of experience.
Do these matters involve mysteries? If they don't involve mysteries, why do people not understand them? Are these external matters? If they were just external matters, they should be easy to understand. But in fact, these matters also involve some truths and people's viewpoints on various things. Once something involves viewpoints on things and the essence and nature of issues, it involves the truth. And when it involves the truth, you cannot see through it, and you become confused. So, do you think it's necessary to fellowship in this way? Hopefully, after you listen to this fellowship, you won't focus your attention on the matters themselves or learn to abide by regulations, but rather, through the fellowship, you will come to understand the truth and God's intentions, be able to discern what positive and negative things are, and make progress in terms of the truth, and your ability to discern things will improve. This will mean that you have gained something. Regarding positive things, everything that falls within the scope of what is created by God, ordained by God, or under God's sovereignty, are you now able to discern them all after we listed the two special examples before? Or is it that you can only discern things of the same kind, and you're still unable to discern things that are different from these two examples?
I can probably discern things of the same kind to some extent, and different things that are relatively simple as well. but I still can't clearly discern things that are too complex.
This is a fact, isn't it? If you still can't discern, then you should grasp a principle. First, look at whether a certain thing goes against the function it should have as created by God, or the significance of its existence as ordained by God. See if it goes against this aspect. If it does, then it is a negative thing. If it does not go against God's creation and ordination, but its form of existence and the value of its existence cannot be said to have a positive or negative impact on people. It only serves some purpose and provides some convenience in people's lives, with few benefits but no harm, meaning it does not undermine or disturb the form of survival and normal life of the mankind created by God, nor does it bring any adverse consequences, and its existence cannot be considered meaningful to mankind, and people could still live just fine without it. Then it cannot be considered a positive or a negative thing. It does not fall into that category. It is just a type of thing or an object, so we will not define it as positive or negative. For example, a horse-drawn carriage is a means of transportation. It is pulled by a horse, which is a living thing created and ordained by God. The carriage pulled by the horse is man-made, not created by God. It is a tool made by man with the survival ability endowed by God. It can transport goods and carry people to different places, making people's lives and travel more convenient. So, do you think a man-made horse-drawn carriage is a positive or negative thing? Does a horse-drawn carriage consume energy? Does it emit exhaust fumes and pollute the air? A horse-drawn carriage does not cause any adverse effects on people's lives and survival, and it also makes people's lives a little more convenient. However, if it didn't exist, people could also travel on foot, which would just be a bit slower. It's not that people couldn't survive without it. It is something that is not essential. So, is this thing a positive or negative thing? It comes from the hands of man, and it can't be said to be positive or negative. If you were to discuss whether a horse-drawn carriage is a positive or negative thing, it would pretty much be making a mountain out of a molehill, splitting hairs. Some people say, trees are created and ordained by God, and their rules of survival and forms of existence come from God, so they are positive things. Then, if a tree is cut down and processed into lumber, is this a positive or negative thing? Lumber provides some convenience for mankind's daily needs, such as being used to make various kinds of furniture like tables and chairs, and it can also be burned for cooking. It gets transformed from a plant into an object. Is it a positive or negative thing?
It can't be said to be either positive or negative.
That's right. Now you understand. You've got it. Only things within the scope of this principle, what is created by God, ordained by God, or under God's sovereignty, are positive things. Anything that violates this principle is a negative thing. For things outside these two categories, if you discuss whether they are positive or negative, it's basically like you're splitting hairs, making a mountain out of a molehill, and not attending to your proper work. For example, some people ask, Are man-made curtains a positive or negative thing? Some people say, that depends on the source of the fabric. If the curtains are made from processed raw cotton, without dyeing or bleaching, and with no chemicals added, then they are a positive thing. If they have been dyed, bleached, and printed, or have had some chemicals added, then they are a negative thing. Negative things are what we should eliminate and discard, so we cannot use them. Only in this way are we abiding by the principles of God's words and being people who love positive things and the truth. Therefore, we denounce everything that is not a cotton product, and we denounce everything that does not come from a natural source. What are the things that come from a natural source? Cotton, silk, and also linen. According to the opinion of these individuals, apart from these few things, there is nothing else that people can wear. If you want to avoid violating the principles and want to achieve being able to love positive things and reject negative things, then you must wear these things, because only these things are in their original forms created by God. Is this view correct? Some people will say, according to this view then, anyone who wears scientifically processed textiles is not a person who loves positive things, is not a person who practices the truth, but is a person without discernment and without principles, a person who is greatly rebellious and detested by God, and such a person is finished. Is this statement appropriate? Such people have ulterior motives in their words, and they can even condemn others, blowing things out of proportion. What kind of people are they? They are absurd people, absurd types. In expressing these heresies and fallacies, they are making mountains out of molehills and using the topics at hand to voice their own opinions. Their minds are full of these heresies and fallacies, and they can spout them endlessly. But when you ask them to fellowship on something related to the truth, they have nothing to say. When you ask them to fellowship on what positive things are, they say these heresies and fallacies. Don't you think it's disgusting? Many things are not related to the positive things that are created by God, ordained by God, or under God's sovereignty. Strictly speaking, they do not violate the principle of what is created by God, ordained by God, or under God's sovereignty, and their forms of existence do not cause any adverse effects or harm to the livelihood and survival of mankind. So, when you speak, it's best to have conscience and reason, and not make mountains out of molehills or issue condemnations at will. The things within the scope of what is created by God, ordained by God, or under God's sovereignty are worthy of our fellowship, and worthy of our acceptance, understanding, adherence, cherishing, and protection. Apart from these, for things that do not fall into this scope, it's best not to make mountains out of molehills and treat them as major issues to fellowship on, fellowshipping on them with great enthusiasm, and even fellowshipping on them very seriously over several gatherings. This should not be done. Often, absurd people, people who have no spiritual understanding, evil people, antichrists, and devils, like to do these things to show off, to let people see how clever they are. People without discernment think that this is fellowshipping on the truth, and even though they don't get any edification, they feel compelled to endure and listen. In fact, those people's words are all heresies and fallacies, and have nothing to do with the topic of positive things that I am talking about. Therefore, if you hear people of this kind raise these topics and arguments that are not related to positive things, you can refuse to listen. If you understand the truth and have discernment, you can refute them and stop them. How do you stop them? You say, "All right, be quiet. The things you are talking about are not related to the truth, nor are they related to positive things. What you are saying is devilish words, and no one wants to hear them. Don't disturb everyone here, and don't interfere with everyone doing their duty." If they have ulterior motives in their words, and they issue condemnations at will and do not have a positive effect, you should stand up and stop them from causing a disturbance, while also exposing them to let everyone gain discernment. After listening, everyone will understand that their words are heresies and fallacies, which bear no relation to the truth, that they are nitpicking, splitting hairs, misleading people, speaking words and doctrines, and spouting high-sounding ideas, and that they have ulterior motives and want to cause trouble, and as such should be restricted and silenced. Suppose that most of the people present at that time are muddled people who have no discernment of evil people and devils, and can't tell that they are spreading fallacies and misleading people. When these muddled individuals and those evil people and devils gather together, they all get along like they are cut from the same foul cloth. After hearing God's words, not only do they not accept the truth, but they also spread some fallacies with grandiose words and high-sounding but empty talk. In that case, you can stand up and leave silently, without needing to express any views. Let the devils show off and put on a show. Don't debate with them, so as not to disturb your mind and affect your performance of your duty. Why? Because a devil is always a devil. An animal is always an animal. They have no rationality, cannot discern right from wrong, and don't know what's correct and what's incorrect. No matter how you fellowship, it's impossible for them to understand the truth. Devils will always speak words and doctrines, shout slogans, and spout high-sounding but empty talk, while those who are reincarnated from animals, people without spirits, do not have any discernment at all. Wherever there is a disturbance by Satans and devils, they will follow and get involved in the mess. If you teach them to discern, they cannot learn it. Only those who understand the truth possess cleverness and wisdom, and will hide when they see trouble. They will be able to discern when they see a devil causing a disturbance, and will not get involved in the mess, knowing to stay away from evil. Wherever devils put on a show, wherever animals gather, that place will reek of foulness and disorder. They are cut from the same foul cloth and enjoy getting together. No matter who says some absurd and vile words, they like to listen, and they even echo them with great delight. Isn't this a gathering of devils? If you are a clever person, then upon seeing such a situation, you should quickly steer clear and not get mixed up with them. Why should you not get mixed up with them? Why should you not debate with them? It's because no matter how you fellowship on the truth, They won't accept it. No matter how many words you say, it'll all be in vain. Those who are of Satan and devils do not accept the truth at all, and those who are reincarnated from animals can't make sense of the truth. So no matter how much you say, it's useless. Do they read God's words? Can they make sense of God's words? Have they ever sought the truth? They don't even accept the words I say. So can the few words you come up with refute them? Can they make them change their minds? Can they accept your words? So don't do foolish things. Leaving silently is a wise choice. If you question a devil, why don't you practice the truth? Why do you always lie and engage in deceit? The devil will brazenly refute you. They will argue and use twisted reasoning to defend themselves, and not admit at all that they are lying and engaging in deceit. If you ask those who are reincarnated from animals why they always abide by regulations, they will also use twisted reasoning to defend themselves, saying that they are practicing the truth. When you face this kind of situation, you should be able to see clearly that devils and those reincarnated from animals do not accept the truth at all. So you should stop fellowshipping with them and stop doing foolish things. No matter how many words you say or how many things you do, you can't change their nature essence. So no amount of talk will help. You should fellowship on the truth to those who can accept the truth. Only such people easily accept the truth. Only with them can you have a normal conversation. For devils and people reincarnated from animals, no matter how much truth you fellowship or how much work you do, it's all in vain. At that moment, you may be able to refute them to the point where they are speechless, and they may feel that what you said is right, but afterward, they will have a change of heart and even prepare some words to refute you and make you feel ashamed. You see, can those who are devils accept the truth? Absolutely not. Those who are devils and those reincarnated from animals do not accept the truth at all. Even if they accept it at a certain moment, it's only lip service, and they will go back on what they said afterward. So, can you achieve any results by fellowshipping on the truth to them? You want to change them so they have conscience and reason, and so they know that they don't understand the truth and should accept and practice the truth. This idea and this motive itself is wrong. You should never have it. Do you understand now? Let's return to the topic of positive things. The scope of positive things is defined as being within the category of what is created by God, ordained by God, or under God's sovereignty. No matter what we are dealing with, we should consider, was this created by God? How is it related to God's ordination? If it was not created by God and has nothing to do with God's ordination, then we should treat it with caution. If we still follow the world's trends and heap praise upon it, isn't that foolish? If something is not within the scope of what is created by God, ordained by God, or under God's sovereignty, then it cannot be called either a positive or a negative thing, and so there's no point discussing it. If you do discuss it, is that because you want to accept it as a positive thing, or because you want to characterize it as a negative thing and reject it? What benefit does accepting or rejecting it have for your life and for your self-conduct? Is it beneficial for your acceptance of the truth? If there's no benefit, then there's no point treating it as a topic for fellowship and discussion. That would be being foolish and doing foolish things, right? For example, the horse-drawn carriages, textiles, beds, and chairs we just talked about. If you always make a mountain out of a molehill and want to discuss them, is this a positive or negative thing? Should we accept it or reject it? Should we cherish it or despise it? What is the appropriate way to treat it? This is a manifestation of being distorted. People who are prone to distortions can't grasp key points. They always put effort into forms, doctrines, and regulations, and never understand how to put effort into the truth. Since many things do not involve the issue of positive and negative things, there is no need to fellowship on them. This is because, being neither positive nor negative things, they have little impact on your life entry and the path of life you walk, and so you don't need to delve into them. Make use of them if you can, and it's fine if you don't. If there are some chemical-based products that affect people's health, and their smell or chemical components will cause some harm to people's bodies, then you should find a way to stay away from them and use such everyday items as little as possible or not at all. In this way, you can eliminate or lessen the harm they cause. It would be impossible to completely avoid these harms, but as long as they do not harm your lives for the time being, do not cause you to get sick in the short term, and do not affect your belief in and following of God, or your performance of your duties and pursuit of the truth, that is enough, for that's just how the real environment is. Is this principle clear now?